Well then.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Investigator.
Hope I'm on camera. Can't check myself. Hi. We're here to review another Arkham horror expansion, but this is a special one because I was able to go to Gen Con and get the Path to Carcosa expansion a little bit of time before it's out, so we're doing the Deluxe expansion review. So this is going to be a little bit longer of a video because we have this stack of cards to go through. It's like thicker than a normal pack.
Forbidden knowledge.
Exactly. And we have 5 investigators, 6 investigators to go over actually. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna go through all of the classes and starting with their investigator and then going through their cards. So that's not in order, but I didn't want to run another one. All right, let's get started. So the first card we have is Mark Harrigan. So Mark is a Guardian is what they call him, yes. Guardian. He's a soldier. He's an ex-soldier. He may still be a soldier, actually. I don't know. I haven't really talked to him lately. Mark has an exceptional stat line, I think, because he's got 5 strength, 5 fisticuffs.
Yep.
And his 2 book is sucks, but you don't really use it.
Yeah, it's pretty low, but that's not any lower than anyone else who is on the low side.
The thing I actually started playing Mark in a side campaign. We started from the beginning, and he can seriously beat stuff up. Like, he's got a lot of damage manipulation capacities. But before we get into too much of that, I'm going to read what he says. So, he says, you begin the game with Sophie in Living Memory and play. We're going to go over those cards in a second. And there's a reaction after you take damage, after damage is placed on a card you control, so like an asset or any other card that could have damage on it that is in your play area, you get to draw a card. So that's really cool when you're fighting because you can get a lot of like stuff that you're using for skill tests back, or rather refill your hand.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like it a lot.
His Elder Sign effect is +1 for each damage on him. So his Elder Sign effect I like a lot because specifically that Sophie flips over to do a lot of bad things when you have too much damage on you, but his Elder Sign makes it like kind of like can overcome that.
Yeah, it negates it. I played with a lot of Agnes. And
oh, did you?
She has. Oh, I have good. She has a similar effect, and with horror.
Mm-hmm.
Horror, I believe, and 9 is a lot of like plus 2 plus.
Does Agnes have 9?
She has 8.
Oh, okay.
8 horror rating, and 9 is a lot to a skill test. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
I haven't had a lot of trouble with him passing willpower tests because he's got a 3, and you can just put a few cards in that help you out with that, like leadership and a few other like guts cards that can kind of get you over the hump for a lot of those horror skill checks.
Yeah,
you can't, and the whole idea with Mark is that you're throwing cards into his deck that let you heal him. So a lot of those cards heal horror and damage, so you can kind of split that stuff up. So that's nice. I'm gonna go over his deck building stuff. So he's got a deck size of 30. His deck building options are that he gets Guardian cards level 0 to 5, neutral cards level 0 to 5, and tactics cards that are level 0. So it's a little bit smaller of a deck size that Mark can have because he can only have Guardian cards and neutrals, and then tactics from all over, but only level 0 tactics. So things like evasive maneuvers, cunning distraction, kind of more expensive cards usually, like from other factions that cost 2 or higher, are usually the tactics cards. Things like backstab.
No, yeah.
Those are all tactics. And they kind of fit in there, and I don't necessarily think you have to build a deck around that, but
I don't know, not at all. But there are a lot of really good Guardian cards out there. So, and this definitely puts him more in the tanky area.
Definitely. He's really good at, especially with one of the cards we're going to go over soon called, you'll see what it's called, I don't remember, but one of the benefits of him having a weirder deck building option is that he does get he gets 3 cards he has to include besides the random weakness. He has the Homefront, Shell Shock, and Sophie. So let's go through those because I think they're all pretty cool, and that's why we're talking about them. Homefront is a crazy skill card. It gives you 4 fists.
So many fists.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like almost that's a real lot of them. So, if you're really thinking about a character you want to put the shotgun into, this is a character you could definitely probably get it to fire a lot with. And one of the crowning things that this card has on it is if a skill test is successful during an attack, you can move 1 damage from him to the attacked enemy. So if he gets to move his damage around a decent amount.
Oh yeah, and with the amount of Guardian cards, he can take, he's probably going to take damage.
Yeah, and he's going to heal some of it too, but that is the thing. So this is cool because this is a skill card, which is unlike a lot of... Some of the other cards that characters have are like assets or events. Having a skill card as your like kind of auto-include is interesting because with Minh Thi Phan's ability and some of the other cards in the game, you can actually pull this back to your hand with like successes and things like that. So there's some pretty cool stuff you can do with skill-based cards, but I'm really a fan of that card. I haven't actually seen it. I've played 3 games with him, and I haven't seen it once. It's actually it's kind of weird.
Disappointing.
Yeah. I actually really think his weakness isn't that bad at all. Shell Shock, it's a flaw. It's after Revelation, for every 2 damage on you, you take 1 horror. So you could almost kill yourself if you were like close to death. Because you'd be at like 8 and you take 4 horror. But majority of the time, this does 1 or 2 horror max.
Yeah, that's not too bad because if you're to the point where it's going to kill you if you're almost dead anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't ever think it can actually kill you because if you had only horror, only damage on you, this would never kill you. If you had some erroneous horror that you weren't healing off you, yeah, it definitely could kill you. But that's what I think they're trying to get at here. It's like, oh, I'm fine, right? He's got like 5 damage or 6 damage on him, and he's got sitting at like 3 horror, and you draw a shell shock, you die.
Yeah.
So,
but again, you're like probably in a bad situation anyway. Yeah. Like the world is collapsing around you. And
I put smoking pipes in there because I'd much rather be removing damage.
Drug addicted.
Yeah. Well, he's got like PTSD, man. Sophie, this is a really cool card as well. So this is something that, much like Duke, he gets to start the game with.
Yeah.
So it's a asset, and it lets him take a direct damage. So direct damage is something you have to put on your character. You can't put it on other cards. To get +2 for a skill test. So any skill test you can do, you can take a direct damage and get +2, which means that he's triggering his draw ability, which is limit once per phase. So if you can trigger, if you take damage in the Investigator phase from fighting or something, that's cool. Then you could trigger, you could trigger his ability. Then you could use Sophie in the Mythos phase, and you could actually draw 2 cards in the entire phase, which is actually really cool. The round and phase things are going to be really important when we start talking about the characters here because Minh Thi Phan's ability is 1 per round. So round is like after you finish the refresh or upkeep phase. And then if he has 5 or more damage on him, so if he's got more than half his life away, you flip it over. And I think that's cool because this is the first asset that has a front and back. It says Sophie, it was all my fault. That's the name of the card now. Sophie can never really play no matter what. But you get -1 to each of your skills. And if you have 4 or less damage on you, you flip it over.
Yeah. And this one's really interesting because it's like a double-edged sword weakness, or asset type of thing.
And you can't choose to not have it. You have to always play around Sophie. And -1 to each of your skills is why I was like, oh, that sucks. But you have 4 damage on you, so if you do the Elder Sign, at least you're kind of getting something back because you at least have 5 damage on you when this happens.
Yeah.
There's enough cards though I think in the game right now that heal that I'm not that crazy worried about it because you could easily get back up from damage here with any number of the Mystic cards that can heal. I think there's some Mystic cards that can heal. Maybe there's not yet. But there's First Aid and there's Emergency Aid and things like that can make it easier. And you can just put a bunch of assets and things out to start taking damage on those instead of yourself. So.
Yeah, and -1 isn't too bad to his
despite our Whippoorwill comments.
Well... Yeah, in this case, as long as you don't have thousands of whippoorwills on you. In this case, to his primary combat role right here, I mean, it's horrible for investigation and running away and willpower and stuff. But if you want him to keep fighting, I mean, it's not too bad. Mm-hmm. Just get a gun, or
get a gun,
just get a gun, or a knife, or something like that, and
it should be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Sophie, 2-sided. I'm going to break for a sec so I can see if everything's going well, and then I'm going to cut this part of the video.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure we didn't just record 5 minutes of stuff that's actually not recording well. Keep looking at the camera. It looks good. So I'm going to assume this is going to be okay. Last time I recorded it was I forgot, I didn't realize they were trying to change mics and stuff, so I started recording and the audio wasn't on, and so they recorded a 30-minute video without any audio. So, all right. So the next card we have is 32 Colt. So, like you were commenting on before, this actually has an appropriate amount of ammo uses as far as the gun looks like. So, I thought that was kind of cool. So, it's a 3-cost asset with 6 ammo charges. It's got a fight icon. It's a Guardian card, and obviously it takes 1 hand, weapon, item, firearm. So that's pretty cool because it hits all those kind of keywords that you want to hit with Guardian cards, right?
Yeah.
And you spend an ammo to fight, and you deal extra damage. That's it.
Yeah, I thought this gun was sort of OP. Because it has 6 uses, which is more than any gun out there, and it doesn't add to your fight.
No, it doesn't, but with a 5 fight value, like,
yeah,
that's still pretty good.
And it still deals the +1 damage.
Every time, and no caveats.
Yeah. So, I mean...
I have one in the deck I'm running with him right now, because I think it's like 6 ammo uses. It's just so many.
Yeah.
And there's cards that let you... like, if you played Contraband on this card, you get 12 ammo or something. You get, like, double the amount of counters on there. So you could, like...
So many bullets.
Contraband it and have, like, a ton of bullets. But I think it's a pretty solid, like, starter, 0-cost experience gun. I mean, it gives you a lot of time, a lot of shoots.
Yeah, and it's pretty cheap for a gun. Like, the 45 costs 4. Like
yeah.
The Roland's gun costs 4.
Ginny's is X for the number of bullets you want on it, so like it could cost a bunch or nothing, but you don't get to use it that much. So I don't know. I wonder if we're going to start seeing this as like a value evaluation of cards, like where the uses and so uses go up as long as you can take the skill modification off, and damage isn't like a huge thing they seem to care about, or one of those 3 or 4 things combined together, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing 6 uses on a 3-cost card is interesting. Usually see at least the number of uses as you paid costs, but you know, there's always something there to remind me. I'm just kidding. Sorry. The next card we got is True Grit. True Grit's kind of cool. It costs 3, so it's a little bit expensive, I think. It's a talent. It's got the brain or willpower icon on it, and it says True Grit may be assigned damage dealt to other investigators at your location. So it's 3 damage that can be pulled from other people.
Yeah, I like this. Like it's just a straight up damage absorb card, and 3 damage is quite a bit of damage.
Yeah. The way I like to think about this one is kind of like First Aid is a card that costs, I think, 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And it's got 3 charges on it. And you have to use an action to do those, right? So this card is almost exclusively better than that because you pay the similar amount.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use an action to just kind of negate damage. Like you can just put it on the card, right? If you put this in a deck that has like discard recursion, so survivor stuff, you can actually pull this out again and again like a leather coat. You could actually be like a pretty good survivor tank, right? And so when we see William Yorick later, I think there's definitely a deck that revolves around him and kind of cards like this because he's a survivor guardian build, I think. Okay. So you might actually be able to do like this just solid non-self tank build.
You just run around just getting hit.
Yeah, and he can recur like his own assets, so like that's kind of a sweet thing. So I think definitely there's some cool stuff to do here. I do think it's kind of on the edge of like what I'd be like I can't play this like because it's just expensive and you're not getting any like because leather coat's free and it's 2 damage, right?
Yeah.
So this is the card I was talking about earlier with Mark. I couldn't remember the name of it. Let me handle this. That's how you have to say it. It's a 0-cost event. 0-cost events I like a lot because they say fast on it, so they're cool. It's a spirit card and it's got a willpower and a fight icon, so 2 pretty solid icons. A lot of tests in this game revolve around those 2. A lot of tests that you don't want to fail revolve around those 2.
Right.
Play after another investigator draws a non-peril encounter card, but before resolving the card's effects. So most of the time I'm seeing this being used on like monsters, but I guess there's non-peril cards.
There's definitely ones that stuck in the mud or stuff like that.
Yeah, and actually like Shell Shock, like we saw earlier, and some of the weaknesses are non-peril cards. So, and they count as encounter cards when they're drawn. So weaknesses count as encounter cards when they get drawn. It's weird, but correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. At least ones that go on the table do, because they count as like cards that are in your threat area, which is an encounter card, which is kind of interesting when it comes to like how you treat encounter cards. But
I have doubts. That's
fine.
That.
You can be wrong. That's your prerogative. But what it says is you're considered to have drawn that encounter card, so basically it engages you or things that are triggering it happen to you. So that's kind of cool because if you're Zoe, you get a resource if you're engaging a monster.
Yeah.
Right, and so you can cross it to kill it, or cross it to deal damage. And you get +2 to each skill test from resolving that card's revelation effect. So you can use this on cards that are non-monsters. It just has to be a non-peril card. And I don't remember off the top of my head which ones are perils and which ones aren't, but they can really. You could really save somebody's butt with this.
Oh yeah, the first thing I thought of with this was monsters. You could just be like, "No, I'll stop the lupine thrall," and then the +2 skill one, the +2 skills I saw and was like, "Oh wow, you can definitely use this for other things like the hidden body in the dark." I forget the card off the bat. The one that you take horror for everything you fail by, but.
This could also be nice for dealing with
other tons of stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Every time I think of this, I think of Taunt. Like, we were playing the other day here when we couldn't make it, but Jason used Taunt and pulled every enemy that... He was engaged with 5 enemies, and he pulled them all to him. And he got, like, a bunch of money and stuff, and I was like, wow, that was really cool.
And so he died?
No, he didn't,
wow.
Which was really great. But this card is very similar to, like, a fast Taunt. I'm seeing it that way. I would really like to see what you guys think about this card as far as what other cards it would be really good against, because I'm kind of blanking. But I definitely think this is a good card to include in most decks that are trying to tank.
Yeah.
And we got one experience card here, Ever Vigilant. It's got 2 books, which is kind of cool for Guardian, right? Because you can investigate.
Yeah.
At least Mark has 2, which means you'll be at 4. But it says, 1 at a time, play up to 3 assets from your hand, reducing the resource cost of each by 1. That's pretty cool. Taking 3 actions in 1 action is always solid.
It is. I felt like when I first read this, the build-up would be sort of awkward.
You play this right after you play Prepared for the War Strain.
Yeah, you could.
You could set it up that way, and it doesn't have to be a gun either. It
no, it doesn't. But you would have to have the resources for it, and you would have to have the cards in your hand for it. So
I'm thinking I would love this inside of the Ash Camp Pete deck I was playing, because I could have dropped it and then been Peter Sylvester for 2, Dark Horse for 2, and then something for free or 1.
Is Dark Horse an asset though?
Yeah.
That's an event, isn't it?
No, Dark Horse is an asset. It's the one that says if you have no resources, you get +1 to all your skills.
Oh, okay.
So I think this and Yorick and any deck that's going to try to flatten out on go horizontal with their assets and things like that. I would love to play this for 0 and play a 1 cost reduced event, 1 card at reduced cost can help you out, because it saves you money, right?
It does, but I just feel that there's a resource buildup that you need that you wouldn't often expect to have.
At the start of the game, though, this would be super good.
Yeah, but
and I still think later on, drawing a 1 resource for no actions. So you basically this counts as a second resource in your thing, and 2 books. That's a double.
That is really nice. I'm extra wary of that card.
Tyler is very, very pessimistic about that card.
I am.
He hates it. He doesn't like being vigilant.
I would burn that card as soon as you pull it out.
All right, so we're on to the Seekers, and we have Minh Thi Phan. And I know that a few people are super excited about this card, namely my SO. She plays Minh Thi Phan in everything that we play that's Arkham Files, so having this card come out is kind of cool. And she's actually really good. She does have some pretty low stats on evade and fight, but having 4 brains and 4 books is a solid wall of investigation and survival.
A wall of knowledge.
7 and 7 though, that's pretty good. That's a pretty solid stat line. That's like Jenny Barnes, except for I think she's got 1 more health. And she's insistent. That's her trait. It's part of her story, but I love her special ability so much. After an investigator at your location commits a card to a skill test, that card gains a question mark icon until the end of the test. Once per round per investigator. So, at her location, if you're there, every investigator gets an extra question mark icon once a turn, which is how I like to read it.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. Oh man, I don't know, because when we were playing again with her, we were thinking okay, cool. So I don't have any icons on this card. Like, that would help you. But I can now commit it and give you an icon that I normally couldn't.
Yeah, like
right?
anything.
Or I could double up or triple down. Like if we play like Ever Vigilant here, like, right? Like the two books, you could get 3 books. Or,
that's a lot of books.
Yeah.
That's a lot of learning, son.
Yeah, and so I think Minh Thi Phan's ability, she's like super support. Well, actually not. She's super good at investigating, and she's good at support. You just won't want to leave her alone, I don't think.
No, because you can't run away. You can't fight.
No, exactly. And her Elder Sign effect is +1, and you can choose a skill card committed to that test and return it to your hand. So, like, if you home fronted like Minh Thi Phan, like, you do that, right? You get 5 fists, and it's at 7. She wins. She pulls an Elder Sign, you get it back, and you get to move a damage from Mark Harrigan. Like, the combos I can think of off that thing, if you pull the Elder Sign, are nuts. So
yeah, I really like her Elder Sign ability. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's super good. The +1 is like, it's kind of weak, but like, it's such like a powerful effect.
Yeah, like we see with I don't know, some other people that have like +1s, but they do crazy stuff like not Agnes, but Daisy. Like, she's +1 or 2, but it's like she gets to draw a card for every book she has, which is like really cool.
Yeah.
She has a deck size of 30. She's got Secret cards level 0 to 5, Neutral cards level 0 to 5, and Survivor cards level 0 to 2, which is kind of cool. So you can throw your Pedo Silvestris in there to kind of have recurring horror damage. You can throw in leather jackets and Look What I Founds and things like that. So
the Luckies, I think.
Yeah. I'm a fan. And so she's got Analytical Mind and King in Yellow, and we're going to talk about those right now. King in Yellow, Act 1 to be specific, so because that is important, I think. Analytical Mind. This card is an asset. It's 3 cost, so it's a little expensive. 2 question mark icons, so 3 if you commit it for Minh Thi's skill. And it's her only. You can commit 1 card to each skill test performed by an investigator at another location.
What does that even mean, guys?
So you can play this card out, and you're able to commit skill cards to other people's tests that aren't where you're at. So that's crazy. That's crazy. That's nonsense. Like, you can like throw like 2 books to someone who's investigating like a really hard investigate test across the map, right?
Yeah.
That's nuts. And after you commit exactly 1 card to a skill test, you can exhaust it to draw cards, so you can replace it. It's like its own. It makes any skill card one of the basic skill cards, and it lets you throw those out elsewhere. So on a basic skill card test like Guts or Manual Dexterity or something, toss that across the board to somebody, succeed at it, right? And then you get to draw 2 cards, which is kind of cool.
That seems a little much.
It seems intense. So if we're understanding that wrong, let me know. But I'm pretty sure that means every time an investigator does a test, you can commit a card to it, even if they're not at your location. Which basically is what you could do normally. But
yeah, that seems like a main theme that's been going on in this set as I was running through the card list last night.
What is the main theme?
There's been a lot of like do something at another location.
Yeah.
At your so.
Of all the people in this set, I think Minh Thi Phan is the most thematically appropriate to be here because it's the Path of Carcosa, the King in Yellow is involved, and her backstory revolves around getting the King in Yellow from her old boss named Dr. Thomas or Mr. Thomas. This is an intense weakness. Like, everything we've seen with Minh Thi Phan so far has been really good, but this is really intense. It says, put the King in Yellow into play in your threat area. It cannot leave play except for through the reaction ability below. You cannot commit exactly 1 or 2 cards to a skill test. So you can no longer use your Analytical Mind unless you at all. You can no longer assist anybody because you can only ever commit 1 when you're assisting.
Yeah.
You can only spend cards on you yourself, but you have to spend at least 3, right? So the final way to get rid of it, so it sucks a lot because it's hard to like succeed skill tests when you have this card. After a skill test is successful in which Minh Thi Phan has committed at least 6 matching skill icons for that test, draw the King in Yellow. So that's kind of difficult to do with less than 4 cards. Because if you even have, like, unless you're stacked around doubles, which you can't really commit multiple base skill cards to, like, the same test, you kind of have to commit, like, 4 or 5 cards at least.
Yeah.
Which is, like, your entire hand. But it gets rid of the King in Yellow. Yeah.
Yeah, this one kind of shuts Minh Thi Phan down.
For herself.
Yeah, and for a while, though.
Yeah. And so you can finagle the right symbols together. But Yeah, it's pretty brutal. She still does get her like base ability with this, so she does get an extra 1 when she commits her own test, which is nice. So that might help the number of cards you have to commit, but the other thing is it has to be Minh Thi Phan as committed. I believe that means that she has to commit them, not someone else. Like, you can't help her. Pretty brutal weakness, and it takes up a hand slot, which is like terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like the worst. I think Daisy's takes up a hand slot too, but I'm not really sure. Alright, we're into the actual cards for Survivor, and again, I told you guys this is going to be a long video because we're like not even halfway through yet. So, Fieldwork, that's a 2-cost asset with a flighty icon. It's a talent, and this is what Tyler was saying. He said, like, there's a lot of things that care about other locations. I think maybe this isn't what you were saying, but a reaction. After you move to a location, if that location has at least 1 clue on it, exhaust Fieldwork to get +2 skill value for the next skill test you perform that phase.
Yeah, I thought this one was a neato card. It's good for investigators who like to build around clues on locations.
So Seekers.
yeah, Seekers, World Banks came to mind.
Oh yeah, that's true too. That's a good one.
Yeah, he's a good investigator who built around clues. It all works within a phase, so keep that in mind. So you sort of have to like play it on a location and then move in there.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
So if this, I think that this flavor text is probably one of my favorite flavor texts. It's like she's out there like looking at some like crazy ass swamp. Pardon my French. And it says, if this doesn't get Jean into the Explorers Club, nothing would. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's fair. Like, she's out there about to like risk her entire life, fighting some terrible thing, and like she's just trying to get into the club. She's just trying to become one of the dudes. This is Archaic Glyphs is our next card that I'm super excited about because Archaic Glyphs is like the strange solution from last set.
Oh my god, that's exactly what I thought.
These are cool. I don't know why we're only seeing them as Seekers. Maybe there's certain things around certain classes. Like, we haven't seen any exceptionals outside of Rogue.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any, like, write the campaign log things.
Yeah, outside of Seeker.
I can remember outside of Seeker. But it's a 0-cost asset, so it's free. It's a book icon to commit, and it takes a hand. It's a tome, so if Daisy's using it, she gets the extra tome slot if she has her thing out, or she can use the action as one of her free actions. It says discard a card with at least 1 book icon on it, and place 1 resource on ancient glyphs. And then if you have 3 on there, a forced ability triggers. That makes you discard it, gain 5 resources, and write in your log that you have translated the glyphs.
Yeah. This was really cool with the solution in the previous set.
Yeah.
It might not be worth it.
Well, this is 0, right?
Yeah, it might not be worth it early on to just have in your deck. So
I'm a fan if you're going to commit to these, just do it. Like, put it in at level 0, get it done as fast as you can. Like, see if you can get it and get it done.
And
like
then
first
switch
game,
it out.
and then switch it out with something else.
Yeah, so I mean, depends on your style. Get done early, or just wait to see what it turns into, and then
I always want to evaluate these cards based on like what they do. Like, so let's pretend it didn't say that you have translated the glyphs in your book, right?
Yeah.
You put it down and you play three cards that have at least 1 skill icon on them. So that's just as in 3 actions, and then you get 5 resources. So there is a payoff there. You do get
you get 5 resources.
Theoretically more resources than you would have if you just claimed 3 resources as an action, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to ditch the cards. I don't really think that's bad. It's just I don't ever see scenarios where Seekers are running out of money.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys do, but I don't. I think it's cool to include because of the story aspects. I don't know that I would put it in any other reason.
You'll probably get something cool later on.
Most likely. The strange solution was legit. Alright, we got Snowstone Unturned. A 2-cost event with a question mark. It's an insight subtype. It says choose an investigator location. That investigator searches the top 6 cards of his or her deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles his or her deck. That's interesting.
Oh, I thought about this, and this is like just like a free. This is like a free draw. This is like an action for a draw, but for anyone.
Yeah, and it lets you search, which is tutoring is always cool because this could help you set up that like ever vigilant play. Consistency can be higher when you get to search cards, which is nice. But it does cost you 2 resources, and it's not fast, which is like interesting to me.
Yeah.
When I saw this card, I was thinking just the name alone, that it was going to do something with clues. Like, you could get a clue from a location that didn't have any clues left on it. Like, that would be cool, because you, like, checked it so hard, right? I'm not sure why. I'm not sure I, like, understand this card yet. It seems overcosted for, like, old Book of Lore, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But that one lets you search 3.
But That's what I was saying. It's like 2 resources and an action for a draw. I mean, you can spend an action and just draw. I mean, but you can spend this on anyone.
Yeah, that's true.
So
if somebody really needs something.
yeah, so if someone was like, oh man, I need a gun, it's like, hey, why don't you go look for a gun?
The top 6 is good, because Old Book of Lore is only 3. I think searching is powerful, but that's like, I still don't know. In the know, 3 costs. This is the 1 experience card from this class. It's got a book icon, and it's a talent. We have a lot of secrets in this Seeker set. They have lots of secrets. Playful secrets. You can spin an action and 1 secret to investigate any revealed location and play as if you're at the location. So there you go.
Hey, this one was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought, and this fits with the, like, stand around and look for things somewhere else.
Now we just need a way to bounce it back to your hand when it's got nothing on it so you can play it again.
Yeah.
Think of that. Tell us what we do. Because that would be so cool. Because then you could just sit at, like, the hub. Like, I'm thinking of
Then
where Doom awaits.
resign whenever shit gets heavy.
Where Doom awaits, where like you have to go out into the areas and they flip up and down, or like things like the final one. What was it called? The final pack in Lost in Time and Space.
Yeah.
Where like you could be like just sitting at the base location and you're like, oh yeah, I need to get that clue. This is great. I think there's some pretty. This is a cool card. I love it. Like I'm a very big fan of that whole thing of. Because there was another card that was like that, where it's like. But it's the opposite, where it's like you search your investigation with like the highest value, and you get to pull a clue from every adjacent location. That was cool.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about. I can't think of the names because I'm bad with remembering names. Yeah.
Okay, so we got our first
Rogu.
Rogaroo. The Curse of the Rogaroo. Sefina Russo. I believe I said that right, so shut up. The painter. We seeing another like 4s and 2s lady.
Yep.
Or 4s and 2s character. 4 willpower and 4 agility, and 2 fight, 2 book. So not really good at investigating, but super good at running away and resisting things. This is crazy. So if you've ever played Netrunner, this card's a lot like Andromeda from Netrunner. But it says when you would draw your opening hand, draw 13 cards instead of 8. So that's 5 extra cards, right? No, sorry, it's 8 extra cards because you usually draw 5. Choose up to 5 events beneath to place beneath this card and keep 8 cards as your opening hand. Discard the rest. You cannot mulligan. So you have a bunch of events underneath Sefina Russo's character card. So what do you do with them? Her special event that's part of her like required cards allows you to copy events, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But as a action, you can choose an event beneath this card and draw it. It does not provoke an attack of opportunity. So that's kind of cool if you're like drawing a card that's like fast or something like that, because you can play it like an evade card or something. Oh, yeah. And then her Elder Sign is +3. That's really cool.
Tone.
Yeah, and you may choose an event beneath this card and draw it. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. And she's a super event heavy character. I know there's a lot of meta out there that says skills should go in a deck a lot.
There's also a lot of meta that says that like event-based damage is good because it doesn't require like certain things that other damages. It doesn't require tests, so testless damage is a good thing. So things like backstab, I think, or sneak attack, the one where you can get it exhausted. So, and she can exhaust a lot of enemies, so that's good.
Yeah.
She's got 5 and 9. I think that's pretty solid stat line. You might want to get her like something to help her health out a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think I really want to try her by having.
I think she's Mystic, right? She's also Mystic.
I don't know. Let's see.
Flip her over. Whoa, yeah. I'm just gonna do it. Yeah,
she is Mystic.
So she's good with the.
She's got a 33 deck size.
Yeah.
So 3 more cards than normal. This means that her deck is 33 before you put her required cards in. So her total deck size is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 37, 38, I think, cards. She gets 3 copies of Painted World and 1 copy of Stars of Hades, and 1 random basic weakness. So that's a lot of cards in your deck. That's more than normal. Yeah, so she's got Rogaroo cards 0 to 5, neutral cards 0 to 5, and Mystic cards 0 to 2. That's pretty cool. I dig it.
Oh yeah. So
she can make up for her bad skills with her spells. So she can fight and investigate with her spells.
Yep.
I have kind of a personal affinity to this character because we play a Call of Cthulhu campaign, and her character is basically going through something very similar to what my character did, where she's like in the Painted World, which is like her event. So I'm going to move on to that. There's 3 copies of this here. I'm going to do that. so people can see how 3 copies look.
Ooh.
Like that? You like that stuff? I'm a professional. So it's a free event because you can't actually play it the way you think you would. It's got 3 different icons, a brain, a foot, and a wild. It's a spell, so that's kind of cool for things that care about spells. And it can only be in her deck, and it cannot be placed beneath her, so you can't copy a Painted World with another Painted World. If it says play the Painted World as an exact copy of a non-exceptional event beneath Sefina Russo, remove the Painted World from the game instead of discarding it. So, up to 3 times per session, you can use Painted World as play in place of one of the events underneath Sefina. So, instead of using her action, you can play Painted World to pay the 3 and then use like Backstab, or to pay the 5 and use Cunning Distraction or something like that, right? That card can't go in here, so I don't
basically a free event.
Elusive or something like that. So that's pretty sweet. I dig it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Because it means that you can effectively include 3, 4, or 5 copies of a card in your deck, depending on what you use it for. So that's pretty powerful. However, there's a bad weakness. I think her weakness is pretty bonkers. Randomly choose an event beneath Sefina. Sorry, it's called Stars of Hades. Hades, I think that's Hades. It's a curse. It's got a revelation ability that says randomly choose an event beneath Sefina Russo and remove it from the game. If you cannot, take 1 damage and 1 horror. If your deck has 5 or more cards in it, shuffle it back into your deck instead of discarding it. So,
yeah. This never goes away.
It's sticky.
And it dissuades you from using your events.
No, I would want to use them faster. Like, what if I don't want to? Of course I do. Like, because I don't want to have to keep discarding them.
Well,
I guess it's like a weird buffer. I just see this card is causing incredible amounts of controversy between us.
Yeah, it's tearing us apart. It's what Haster wants.
Tearing us apart when I'm with you. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I think it's pretty brutal. So it hits her on all levels. So if you take her events away, sure, she doesn't feel as Sefina-y if you take that aspect away, which it does. And you can't put those things back under there. So once it's done, it's done. And take 1 damage and horror if you don't have any. So like Tyler was saying, that you kind of need that buffer because she's only got 5 health. And then it just shuffles over and over again, over and over and over again. So
take damage forever.
So 5 cards if you need to get 5 cards. First rogue card we got from the set is Stealth. So Stealth is a 2-cost asset, which is pretty cool. It's assets and it doesn't take up a slot. It's got a foot icon or agility. I know you guys are probably not used to this yet, but we switch a lot. So just by the symbol.
We really don't know how to play this game, so we just call them whatever.
If you, it's a talent and you can exhaust it, exhaust Stealth, and you can do an evade action. You choose an enemy, and it gets -2 evade for this evasion attempt. That's pretty cool already.
Yep.
If you successfully evade the enemy, disengage with it, but do not exhaust it, and it can't engage you again until the end of your turn. So that's pretty interesting. So it kind of is really good for one person, but if other people are at that location, it's going to totally engage them again.
Yeah, it just attaches to someone else if there's another person there, or and I see this is good for like a lone wolf rogue, but I was talking with Kyle earlier, and I pointed out that if you're a lone wolf rogue, you sort of already there's a ton of cards already that sort of
I can see this
already have this.
Yeah,
you can already deal with a monster already
because you're running away or evading it.
Yeah,
at least this is that you pay 2 resources and you're done paying for stuff, and I can see this being helpful for things like. You draw an encounter card and you just can't handle it. You can evade it and let someone else take it. It's almost like a kind of an awkwardly placed taunt because you can just evade it, and then when it goes back, it's gonna pray. If it doesn't have a pray, it's gonna go to whoever they want, and then it can go to the tank or something like that, right? So, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
I could see it as being kind of a godsend in certain situations where you're like, oh, thank God, this is I can just have this out. I don't have to worry about anything, and I get -2 to their evades, which is it means you're auto evading certain things.
Yeah, I can see it's good for the high feet monsters.
Yeah, you need to make sure you're in a good scenario because you could toss a monster off into another person who can't fight, and that would suck.
Yeah, that would suck. Right?
So, the next card is called Sleight of Hand. Tyler and I were going gaga over this card I think earlier because we're just thinking of all of the items you could play. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So it's a 1-cost event that's got a book and a foot, and it's a trick. I don't know if that necessarily means anything yet, but it's a cool sub-keyword or keyword. It's fast, so it doesn't take an action, and you can only play it during your turn. This is put an item asset into play from your hand until the end of the at the end of the turn. If that asset is still in play, return it to your hand. So any weapon that has charges is good with this card. You cheat it out, use as many as you can, and pop it back to your hand.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
I'm thinking like first aid now too. You like throw first aid out for one, use it twice, and like make sure it doesn't get discarded, and then it comes back to your hand.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, really any like high cost thing, like at all.
Yeah, I can the lightning gun, the Chicago typewriter. I think there's a lot of cool things you can do with this card, and I'm hoping to see this in a lot of rogue decks. Because why would you not want to pay 1 resource for something and then get to reset all its charges later?
Yeah.
That's like the one thing about this game that you like want to do is find a way to put more IMO icons on something. All right. Next card is one that Tyler and I were hotly debating. Daring Maneuver. It's a 0-cost event with a question mark icon. It's a gambit. It's fast, and then you play it when you succeeded a test. You get +2 skill value for that test. So, and this is another one I like the flavor text on, because it says, McGlynn, what are you trying to do? Get us both killed? And he said, not this time, pal. Not this time. Yeah. So, +2 skill value for a test you're already succeeding at. I can think about 4 cards that this is cool for, including one that's in this set.
There's a few cards this is good for. I mean, it's good for all those cards. It's like you get an extra thing if you succeed by 2. I'm saying that, and if you have those cards in your deck, you're already at the point that if you're going to play them, you're probably succeeding by 2.
And I'm under the impression that, like, I think it's worth including in decks that even want you to do this once. And including getting a +2 on a skill value could, like, I don't know what's going to happen in Path to Carcosa. This could super matter. And I think it's a card that, like, is one that, I think you said the word earlier, niche. And I think that's perfect. It's like fine clothes, right? If you know you're going to need it, you want to put it in. If you're not going to need it, you want to use adaptability to get that crap right out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, true. But like, is it worth two spots in your deck
to do an extra 2, like 1 shot with a shotgun? I think so. Yeah. I think so.
I don't know. There might be. I just feel there might be better things
like this.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Lockpick had experience. That makes me sad because I can't put it in. But it's a 3-cost asset with a book icon. Appropriately, it's a tool, it's illicit, and it's an item. It uses 3 supplies, and if it has no supplies on it, much like first aid, it's done. Exhaust lockpicks and investigate. Add your foot value to your skill for this investigation. If you do not succeed by 2 or more, remove a supply from lockpick. So, this is one of the first cards that like adds 2 skills together to do a test, which is cool. Cool.
Very cool.
So, I mean, let's look at some of the investigators we've seen today and see how this would help them investigate. So, for Mark Harrigan, it would make him a 5 investigation. Minh Thi Phan would be at 6. No, wait. Yeah, 6. Sefina Russo would be at 6. And then Akachi would be at 5. So a lot of those are high book values. Those are like Daisy level book values. You might have to lose a lockpick soon, but those are good. Those are pretty sweet.
And I like the theme of breaking lockpicks. It reminds me of Skyrim. You're like, oh, damn it.
I also want to talk about the idea of adding. So you could have cards out that add to either books or feet and make this card a lot better, right?
Yeah.
And that's cool. Like the ability to pump 1 of 2 skills or both skills to be able to keep a card around is really interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I flipped it.
Out of order.
All right, so we're into the Mystics, and the Mystics character is Akachi Onyele. That's my best pronunciation. I'm going to call her Akka for short, okay? Nice. Even though that's kind of like really rude, probably. She's got 5 brains, she's got 2 books, she's got 3 fists, and 3 agility. So she's like Mark Harrigan, but for brain instead of fight. But I like she's a mystic who's got 3 fists.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Very fighty.
Your assets with used charges enter play with 1 additional charge in them. What?
That's so good.
That is so cool. She gets an elusive effect that says +1 and add a charge to an asset you control with charges. 6'8", solid stat line. She's super good.
Yeah.
She's probably the best caster in the game.
Oh, she is. That's a fact.
It's a fact. I don't know if that's a fact.
No.
I just really like her.
Yeah.
Her deck building limitations, though, are kind of weird. So, I had to explain this to Tyler like he was 5. Just kidding. She's a deck size of 30. She can include Mystic cards from level 0 to 5. She can use neutral cards from level 0 to 5. She can use cards with uses charges level 0 to 4. So, any card in any faction that has the word uses charges on it can be included in her deck. I don't know. I can't think of any off the top of my head that use charges that aren't in Mystic, but that's what you guys are for. And the occult cards level 0, and I was looking through occult cards, and I think that there's like 1 or 2 that I found, but I don't remember any off the top of my head. But yeah, kind of an interesting deck building option there. It's kind of confusing.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
But she gets this really cool card called Spirit Seeker, and this has one she has to include. It is a 2-cost asset with a brain, a book, and a question mark. Envoy of the Elusi. I don't know what that means, but that sounds pretty cool. It's ritual. It can only be in her deck. So this is a card that stays out. You can exhaust it to choose an asset you control with uses charges, and either return that asset to your hand or move all charges from that asset to your resource pool as resources and discard that asset. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how sleight of hand pops stuff back up to your hand when it's like almost done with charges. That's cool to reset like a shriveling.
That is really cool. And that basically, there's a card that adds charges. This basically like replaces that. So it's a free card and basically replaces.
I like the idea that you can
card.
use it once a turn as a fast action too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. So like as a fast action, if you're about to run out of charges, you can pop it back up, play the thing, and then use a charge or 2 depending on how many actions you get that turn.
It's like
Infinite shrivelings.
that's so great.
The shriveling. But Angered Spirits is kind of rough. This is the only one I can think of that has actual trauma suffering on it out of all the stuff we've seen today. That like directly makes you take trauma. So this is a lot like the core side Investigator's weaknesses. It says put it into play in your threat area. You, as a fast action, exhaust a spell and move 1 charge from that asset to Angered Spirits. And if the game ends, if there's fewer than 4 charges on it, you must suffer 1 physical trauma. So it's like basically saying you can't use a spell for a turn and it loses a charge.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal.
And it goes straight to physical trauma.
Yeah,
Which
no damage.
Which is harsh.
For her, it's not as bad as other people, but it's starting at 5. Puts her in the realm of like not as good as others. So make sure you get those charges out. You know. But her asset helps with that. So this is a cool card. The first Seeker card, or the first Mystic card, is called Alchemical Transmutation. So this is one that if you could have it in there, that Daring Maneuver would actually help with, depending on how you're testing. It uses 3 charges. It's 1-cost asset with the brain. And it says, exhaust it and spend a charge to test brain 1. For each point you succeed by, gain 1 resource, right? To a maximum of 3, and then you take a damage if you draw a weird token, as per most spells.
Yeah. But it's like really great for Mystics because they don't have a lot of like resource gaining things. So,
but like they could pass, they're at least getting 2 resources on this most times, I think.
Oh yeah. So I like this spell when I saw it.
And I like kind of having it in a deck where maybe someone doesn't have as good of brains, like Daisy, where they can still get some money. But again, I have yet to see like Daisy or Minh Thi Phan not have money.
Yeah, true.
So, weirdly enough. Maybe people are playing them wrong. The second card is called Uncage the Soul. 0-cost event with the double willpower, so it's like Guts. It's got Spirit word, and it says play a spell or ritual card from your hand, reducing its cost by 3. Whew, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's auto-include 2 of in like any deck that has spells in it.
Oh yeah. Super cheap spell.
You would never not want that in your hand. Because at the very least, it gives you 2 brain power to use on another spell test.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Solid. No comments here. Great card. 10 out of 10. This card is sweet.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of these kinds of cards in Elder Horror, and that's why I'm a fan of Astral Travel in this game, because this smirky little dude just thinks he can walk wherever he wants to because he's got some magic cane.
Just teleport anywhere.
It's a 3-cost event that says it's a willpower and agility. It's a spell. It says move. Move to any revealed location and reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If it's a special token, you must discard an item or asset you control. If you cannot, you take a damage. And it says extra dimensional travel had its risks, but he knew. but you could who could resist the frontiers beyond time and space? The smirky little grin.
And if you're in discard an item or ally, like if you're a crazy wizard, you would definitely like toss one of your friends into the void to go anywhere you want.
Yeah, and you don't have to lose spells for this, which is kind of cool. I like the theme there, where it's item or ally. So like, it's not one of your 2 spells that you have out. You can still keep those. You don't have to lose them. You just take damage.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot. I think it's pretty expensive, but you do get to move anywhere. So this would be great for Lost in Time and Space.
Yeah, it would.
Where you're just like, boom, done. Like,
yeah,
Dunzo Calrissian.
That would be super great.
Yeah. If you need it, again, I think if you need it, you put it in. And now we have the final card, the experience-based card, called Spirit Athene. It's kind of... I love that they put the second part on this card because it makes me laugh so hard. It's a 3-cost asset with a fight icon. It's an item, relic, weapon, melee. As a fast action during a skill test on a spell card, you can exhaust it to get +2, or you can exhaust it as an action to fight with +2 for the attack, so you can stab somebody with your Spirit Athene. Which makes sense, right? It's a knife.
Yeah, I like it. It gives some good fighting skill to him.
Yeah, +2.
Yeah,
heck yeah.
Could stab him, man.
And like, think about like that +2 skill value for this test. Like, that means you're not having to spend extra resources on like pumping your brains or other cards. Like, you can use your cards for other things. So
yeah, and then +2 skill value.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Test.
Yeah, that's good. It's a spell, so you can't use it on rituals. But
yeah,
I think it's okay.
It's pretty good.
It's alright. William Yorick. That's the guy that we were talking about at the beginning. He's the gravedigger. He digs graves. And apparently he's a warden of some sort. So he's like a long-lost warden. But he's got a pretty nice stat line. It's a little bit lower than Mark Harrigan's because he's got 4 fight instead of 5. But he's got the almost exact same line. 2 books, 3 brain, and 3 feet. As a reaction, after you defeat an enemy, play an asset from your discard pile, paying its cost. So this is a survivor card that really just wants to beat things up. And his effect is +2. If this test is successful, return 1 card from your discard pile to your hand. So it's interesting to me that they made this card. I like his effect and ability, but I'm wondering why they made him into such a like Mark Harrigan like they must think this ability is great because basically this is the exact same as Mark Harrigan except for like they moved a health to a sanity. And they took his fight down 1.
I am not sure. I mean, getting stuff out of the discard pile is pretty great in the previous set.
Scavenging?
Yeah, when that one card is about to kill you.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
So...
Or you can adjust how many cards are in your discard pile and not have to have things hit you as hard. Yeah, okay. I'm not saying that I mean, those are his abilities, though. I'm saying, like, his skill stuff is, like, all around. Like, it's very similar. But I think the deck building thing is the special part here, because I don't think there's a Survivor Guardian combo yet. I don't think. Like, a pure Survivor Guardian combo.
Okay.
Because he can put level 0 to 2 Guardian cards in here, which means that he can play things like Vigilant and all this other cool stuff, right?
Oh, okay.
I definitely want to build with him because I think he's got some pretty cool stuff going on for him. You just need money. You need so much money, and it's difficult in those 2 classes to get money.
Okay. I see what
He's
you're
got
saying.
a lantern and a shovel. That's pretty cool.
Those are some pretty cool cards.
But he doesn't come with them. He does come with this, though. Yeah, they are. Actually, that's what I found. Bury Them Deep. This card is so cool. So, it's kind of like Delve Too Deep, but they both have deep in the name. That's it. That's all. That's the only common similarity. Okay. No, it's 0-cost event with a brain, a fight, and a question mark. It's got fast, and it says after a non-elite enemy at your location is defeated, add that enemy and this card to the victory display, and it's got victory 1 on it.
Yeah, he harvests XP.
Yeah, so this you can't put Monster Hunter in here because it's too expensive. That'd be so cool. You like combo Monster Hunter, then you play this thing on it and just
Fantasy Flight's one step ahead of you.
I know, you jerks. This card's really cool, and if you don't understand the subtleties of why this is good, it's because it can take a card out of the game. And you could take one of those conglomeration of spheres out. Or you can take, some other kind of like really terribly annoying like enemy out, Whippoorwill, exactly. The Whippoorwill versus 1 XP. You bury the Whippoorwills deep within the ground. It's like a bird in a little shoebox. Graveyard Ghouls. So this is a weakness. It's an enemy weakness. You don't see too many of those in this character.
This one isn't too bad of a weakness because it's just a monster. I mean, he has a pretty high fight, but you can run away from him pretty good.
And you can run away, or I mean, William can fight him too. I mean, or somebody else can. It just sucks that you can't use his ability. But I really think you're right. I don't think this is a very scary card.
It's not too damaging.
You just play as an event on this.
Yeah.
It never bothers you.
Yeah, and he does. Yeah, get an XP for him. So I mean, this weakness isn't too terrible, like compared to all the others.
It's got a Shakespeare quote on it, which is kind of elegant AF. All right, it's got a lantern. This is the lantern. The next one is the Gravedigger's Shovel. So 2-cost asset with a book. It's an item tool. You can use an action to investigate, and you get location gets -1 shroud. So it's not as good as a flashlight, but it's good still.
It sticks around forever.
You'd
be like, who goes there?
And it costs 1 hand, which is important when it interacts with the next card, because you can be the literal William Yorick with these 2 cards.
Yeah.
And then it says discard lantern to deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location, and it does not provoke an attack of opportunity. So you smash a lantern over someone's head. I wanted to make a coffee pot card that does burning damage to the enemies because it's such hot coffee. But that's just in my head. But it's a pretty solid card. I mean, I like the idea of paying 2 and getting -1 to all the investigation you're doing. I don't think William cares about this card that much, but you could throw this into Minh Thi Phan and she would love it. That would be great.
Can she have survivor cards?
Yeah, she's a secret survivor combo.
Okay.
She would love it because -1 shroud is great and there's no charges. So your flashlight doesn't run out of batteries. What are you? Are you?
No, it's a great combo. Good combo, Kyle.
Good combo.
Good combo.
All right, the Gravedigger Shovel, which is your other hand. You can be a real Gravedigger. Any character in the game can be a Gravedigger now.
With Yorick, if you have a Bandolier, you can combo shovel, lantern, and then another shovel.
That's true.
Because this shovel gives you 2 fists, which is better than a gun.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Or like a fire extinguisher or something nonsensical that William Yorick might use to stop ghouls from coming out of the ground.
Yeah, it's legit. This is probably the best character we've ever conceived. Just now.
Okay.
On film.
Gravedigger Elite. 2 cost. It's got a fist icon. It's another item tool weapon melee.
Yeah.
And it's got a fight for 2, +2 to this attack, so you're gonna hit stuff. You're gonna hit it pretty hard. And you can discard it to discover 1 clue at your location. What? Random. Okay.
Yeah,
cool, I like
you're
it.
digging up clues.
Yeah, I get it, but I love that it's a weapon that has oh, you want a clue? Okay, take it. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know why you discard it. Does your shovel break?
It gets old. And
I knew I should have, but I couldn't stop digging. Digging for clues.
That's fantastic. I really like those for just being basic cards.
Me too.
It's very thematically appropriate.
Yeah, those cards are super fun. I agree with you 100%. All right, we got Hiding Spot. This is kind of an interesting one. It's a fast card, and it's a 1-cost event with 2 feet. It says attach it to your location. Each non-elite enemy at your location, because all the non-elite enemies are stupid.
Yeah.
They gain aloof, so they're just what? And that's every enemy.
Yeah, I didn't like that it didn't stick around at first, but then I was just thinking of all the ways you could toss it down, and then everyone would just run through that location. First,
because it doesn't have to be the one you're in; it's any location.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And you could run through, do whatever you need to do, and then jump out or whatever. So it's a pretty versatile little card for 1 cost.
And the thing is that they only go away if they're readied.
Yeah.
So if they are exhausted for some reason, you exhaust all enemies at your location or something like that, Hiding Spot sticks around.
Yeah, exactly.
And I agree with you. It's almost like a secret tunnel.
Yeah.
Because you can move through locations with it because they're whole loop. That's really cool. 1 cost too. Not too bad.
Yeah.
I like it. In our final card, there was no experience cards in the Rogue or in the Survivor section because they don't need experience to do cool stuff, I guess. Is Resourceful. It's got a book, a fist, and an agility icon. If the skill test is successful, choose a Survivor card not named Resourceful in your discard pile and add it to your hand. Cool.
Yeah,
I dig it.
It's a pretty neat card.
With Minh Thi Phan, you can get an extra book, foot, fist, or
You are obsessed with Minh Thi Phan.
Dude, she's got a good ability.
And getting cards back.
Look, if you were to grab a pair of shears and Minh Thi Phan was there, she would tell you how to use them. So this is all money. I like it. I think that card is pretty solid. Getting cards back again. In this game, this is a 0-cost rogue card that can go in any of the decks from Dunwich. Any of the players from Dunwich can have that card. And get one of their important assets back or something.
Yeah.
I would love to get Jenny Barnes' guns back. All right. Love it. And Tyler's favorite character.
We're in the home stretch.
Here we are. We're almost done. Lola Hayes, the actress. Neutral. She's a neutral character. Neutral is what I said. Neutral. She's a neutral character. She's got solid, straight stat line like Jenny Barnes, 6 and 6. After you draw your opening hand, choose a roll. Any of the 5 or 6 rolls. 6 rolls. There's 6 rolls. There is 6 rolls. Okay.
Because neutral's a roll.
Yeah, you can only play or commit or you can play, commit, or trigger cards on neutral cards or cards of your roll. So you can choose neutral and still trigger neutral cards, or you can choose another faction or class and still trigger neutral cards. So that's pretty cool. I didn't really read that well before, and that the ability to still use neutral cards makes this deck a lot better than I thought it would be. And then as a quick action, once per round, you can switch your roll, which is pretty sweet. And as the Elder Sign effect is +2, and you can switch your roll. Lots of potential.
Pretty. She's pretty complicated. I feel for like beginners.
Yep.
So
this is very similar to like the faction of like the Necrons from Warhammer Conquest, where like you can like only play cards from a certain faction each turn. What?
It's like you're bringing up Necrons, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a theme we've seen before in Fantasy Flight, and it's interesting to see it in a co-op game because it's like now you're like talking about what cards you can help your team with, like the ultimate support character or the ultimate attacker from all factions, the ultimate investigator, right? Talk about deck building. 35 cards. This means she's at 40 card deck when she's done building. That's the biggest deck. She's got the biggest deck.
She has huge deck sizes.
Survivor, Guardian, Seeker, Rogue, and Mystic cards level 0 to 3, and Neutral cards level 0 to 5. So unlike every other character, she gets to go up to level 3 when she's crossing over into the other faction, if she requires another faction. So that's kind of cool. But her deck building requirements are incredibly wordy.
Complicated.
2 copies of Improvisation and 2 copies of Crisis Identity and 1 random basic weakness. Additional requirements. Your deck must include at least 7 cards from each of 3 different classes. So you pick 3, and you have to have at least 7 from them. It's interesting. So you could pick Survivor, Guardian, and Seeker, and have 21 cards out of those ones, 7 of each. And then the rest of your deck could be any number of cards that fit your deck building requirements. You just have to make sure that 3 of them have at least 7 cards each to make sure she's like, got her skills all figured out.
So it's a pretty murky deck build, definitely for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to like drop someone in the game having them play Lola Hayes. That would be like a bad way to teach. I think she's going to be cool though. I'm really excited to see what happens with her.
Yeah, I feel she'd be really versatile.
You going to build one? You want to build one for Carcosa?
Maybe.
Cool. Okay. Whatever you say, man.
Yeah.
A 0 cost event.
Committed.
Her improvisation is a double question mark. So 3 question marks if you Minh Thi Phan.
Oh.
Insight, Lola Hayes, fast. Play only during your turn. Switch your roll until the end of the turn. Reduce the resource cost of the next card you play of your roll by 3 and draw a card. So that's very similar to the reason that we thought that Uncage the Soul is good, because Uncage the Soul says play a card and then reduce it by 3, and you get a draw card. So I'm a fan.
Oh yeah.
She needs to be able to change her roll pretty quickly, and a lot of things are letting her do that, which is good. And she gets 2 gosh darn it, 2 copies. Ta-da! So, improvisation, solid. Actress. However, she does have 2 weaknesses as well. Crisis of Identity, it's madness. It says Revelation. Discard all the cards you control of your current roll. Then discard the top card of your deck. Switch the roll to the class of the discarded card. If the discarded card was a weakness, switch your roll to neutral. So she's got problems. She's got mental problems, like a lot of them. I've played so many roles. Madness is to be expected. So she knows what's going on, but that's kind of crazy. I wonder if you do something where you build Lola into just 3 specific classes. That way you have a lower chance of like switching or something. But,
switching a roll.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I almost feel like you need to like if you don't change your class every turn, you need to, because like you need to not try to blow up your entire board state if you accidentally draw this.
Yeah, exactly.
Or just play a ton of events and like stuff that doesn't stick on the board, like skills and events.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. But
Or like stuff you don't need to trigger.
yeah. Well, no, because
or commit or something.
Yeah.
Oh, she's an interesting character for sure.
I wonder if cards you control are cards in your hand. I don't think are they.
Card you control?
Yeah. Well, tell us, Internet, because we don't know. What we're going to do really quickly, too, is go over the weaknesses that are in this set, the like 4 or 5 extra weaknesses. 3 of the weaknesses are only... Oh, sorry, I guess this one's not one that I need to have. 2 of the weaknesses are only 1-ofs, which I thought was weird, because usually they give you 2-ofs. Maybe I got messed up one, so if you guys see that there's something wrong here, let me know. But there's 2 Overzealous. Overzealous is a really funny one. It's this dude just kicking down this door, and he's got his oh snap face on. It says, draw the top card of the encounter deck. That card needs search. That's your weakness.
Oh my god.
See, you draw this like the middle of your turn. It's like the encounter deck just barfs stuff out at you. And then you're like, well, I guess I don't have to fight it again, or it's done. I don't know. It seems like a pretty intense one.
That does seem pretty horrible.
Right.
What's his flavor text? Don't worry. I have this completely under control.
He's totally overzealous. This should be called Overzealous and Overconfident. You got the drawing the sign. Put the drawing the sign into play in your threat area. Your maximum hand size is reduced by 5 while checking your hand size during upkeep. So that could be bad to certain decks.
Jeez.
Because 8 is the normal size and 5 is 3 lower than that. I can do math.
Yeah.
So be careful because that is
and wastes 2 actions to get rid of.
yeah. So it's like chronophobia or hypochondria.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last thing we have is the thing that follows, and I think maybe it's because that was not unique. Okay, location farthest from you, bearer only. It's a 3/2/3. It's pretty like decent, like to run away from or kill. It's a hunter, and it says when the thing that follows should be defeated, instead shuffle it into the bearer's deck.
Oh, never goes away.
Yorick that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to figure out a good way to get rid of it that isn't to kill it, because this is very. Dude, that's cool, because in the Dresden Files books, he has a thing with him called the thing that follows, and that's very similar to how it functions.
Oh, but there can only be one, ever.
Yeah, because it's unique.
It's unique, so that's not too bad.
That was the Path to Carcosa review. I hope you guys enjoyed that. This should be coming out shortly this week. I think it's this week that it's coming out, so we're going to post the video probably today, and this is Sunday. And it should be coming out by Thursday, so get your hands on it. It looks really cool. There's tons of new stuff that you can build around, and every Deluxe expansion has new characters and new themes and all this stuff. So, any final thoughts?
No, just good luck on the path to Carcosa.
Are you excited to play this campaign?
Oh yeah, Minh Phan is going to wreck it.
Right, she's a Wreck-It Ralph. And we'll probably do another campaign review after we're done, or in a while. That way people have had time to play it. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. Come down and play card games with us for the Fantasy Flight card games on Tuesdays and Saturdays. We do lots of events here, and mainly we're focusing on Destiny now. But come down and play Arkham with us if you want to. I did grab the Labyrinth of Lunacy, which we could play with up to 12 people, so I might be trying to do an event around that at some point. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the kind of stuff that lets us know you're watching. Become a Collectormaniac, and you can get free drawing for money and some other stuff in the future. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next pack.